A lark and her momster are coming your way. Gonna tell it how it is, so won't you join us today? Hey there, friends. It is 10 days into 2025, and I have tried my 7-day free subscription, and I would like to cancel because it sucks.
This year sucks.
This year, it's only 10 days in, and it has been a ride and not a fun one. Normally, we come into this laughing and with a lot of humor and fun. And that's who we are. However,
we're not feeling humor
we're
right
not
now.
feeling a lot of humor right now.
And if we get a little emotional during the podcast, please bear with us because
Indeed.
It's been a really, really tough few days.
Yes. I will say that this episode, we do have to introduce who we are. I am the Lark, and you are the
Momster.
Indeed. This episode is tailored to LA, Los Angeles,
Our second home.
California.
It really has been. And, we spent, well, before we get into that, I guess we probably talk about the wine.
The wine.
Yeah.
Well, some of us need to drink right now. That's the only way to kind of get through some of these things. So today's wine, very affordable. It's called the 7 Moons Red Blend, and it's to celebrate the phases of the moon with 7 enticing flavors that reveal a smooth, fruity, easy-to-drink wine. It has notes of cherry, raspberry, mocha, baking spice, though I don't know which one, vanilla bean, and coffee. You will uncork, pour, and find a connection across the skies. That's actually a really good find a connection across the skies because I feel like there's. Well, that's okay. Well, that's you should reach in and tell them that they should add that.
Yeah, because I was thinking about the fact that we all share a moon.
We do. Something that I've always said. If I'm somewhere else and someone else is somewhere else and I care about them, they can always look at the moon and know I'm looking at the exact same one, and we're in unison in that moment.
Together in spirit and across the skies. And my friend Kelly sent me a text yesterday about, because where we live now, I can hear the owls hooting when I'm laying in bed at night. Because there's a lot of wildlife. It's not very built up directly behind my place, and so there's a lot of wildlife. We see coyotes. Occasionally we'll even see deer. We live in a condo.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely the owls. And she let me know, and she mentioned, because she, like us, has friends who live in LA, and she mentioned how she had heard that the owls are returning to the burned out trees.
Oh.
And people who are going back to their homes hear them. And
what a weird, kind of almost haunting thing to hear.
Yeah. It's just kind of, and it just kind of, it is in some ways a bit of an inspiration in that there's hope for new life, but
right.
It's still just heartbreaking. We spent 16 and a half years in Los Angeles. We moved there.
When I was
fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth grade. You attended middle school and high school there. It's where you came home to from university. We lived back when we started out. We were in Santa Monica, and then we moved to Pasadena. And
love Pasadena.
And I loved many parts of Santa Monica. We spent so much time when we were in Santa Monica going into the Palisades, to the Village.
I had friends that lived in the Palisades. I actually remember going to someone's house. Their dad was a brain surgeon, and their house was so cool. It was the first time I ever went to a house that had a spa inside, or what are they called? Those like infrared sauna.
A sauna.
It had a sauna, and we just had so much fun. And these were just, innocent kid friends and just had the best time, and it was beautiful there. And
so, we used to go to the open air market, the farmer's market in the Palisades Village, and of course going down Sunset to what was Gladstone's. It had changed its name.
It's really, it's even though, we've been away from it for a number of years, it's our home as much as New Orleans is.
Yeah. Well, and for you spent your formative years,
right,
your middle school and high school years, and you came back. Your high school was in, we were living in Pasadena at that point. First year in Santa Monica.
Oh yeah, I know Pasadena like the back of my hand because I took the train all the time.
Right, and so anyway, it's just of this.
We're really devastated by all of the fires from the Palisades fire. I don't know the names of all of them, but from the Palisades to Pasadena to Altadena, it's affected so many of our friends and people that we love. And I know something that also really gets to me is just the animals that it's affecting. I'm going to try really hard to keep it together, but just seeing the photos and the videos, it's just,
It's the Eaton Fire.
And,
that has affected the Altadena area.
Okay.
And the Palisades Fire that's affected the Palisades. But there's also some other fires that have kind of popped up. And it's just, between the Santa Ana winds, which I always thought were really cool.
I don't know. Now they just feel like they're, I don't know, that everybody was talking about how horrific the winds were before the fires started. Yeah, I know my boyfriend, his mom had a tree. Thank God the tree fell the other way. Yeah. Had it fallen back, it would have fallen into his mom's house.
Because of the wind.
Because of the wind.
They were
just
intense.
The wind. Yeah,
they were intense. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, so many memories. So many places that were just...
I spent my first birthdays at Gladstone's, and
it had changed its name.
They
sold it, but it doesn't matter. The building that was there, right on the coast.
I mean,
that was the place that we came out of after your first birthday there, and they had taken your birthday cake and made it into a swan, and
I gave it to a homeless guy.
Yes,
I did.
You were like, and I said, "Are you sure, honey?" And you said, "No, he needs it more than I do." And you learned to surf at Topanga Beach, and all the hours that we spent at Topanga Beach. And
I was just there a year ago with my stepdad, and it feels very
Moon
surreal.
Shadows.
Yeah.
I took our friend Kristen to LA during the pandemic in 2021. We went, she'd never been, and met our friend Suzanne, and just, it's all the places that when we go there, we think of, hey, I'm going to go hang out there, or I'm going to meet people there.
Right.
And that it's just all gone. And other iconic places like, Will Rogers' home is gone.
Right.
Things that were just iconic. And I think about all of the memories that people had in their homes, their children's drawings, their photographs, things that have been passed down.
And I know that's something that's really...
for generations.
That, I had a really interesting conversation with a friend of mine who lives there, Sophie. She sent me a video the other day explaining that she had to evacuate her parents to where she was. Because the fires were just too close. They had the mandatory evacuations. And she was saying, and what really hit home for me, was she was saying, I didn't know what to bring with me because I didn't know what we would lose. And she's like, I have never thought, do I bring this teddy bear that relieves my anxiety? Do I let me call my sister that I haven't spoken to in years and see what she wants me to bring? It's...
Because our parents are often the place... that we store,
where we store
things.
Yeah,
I have everything of yours here at the moment, but I also have all your memories, and we haven't had that opportunity to go through them. And for people who are saving things for their children's children, or the grandparent. The whole thing.
But it just makes you feel like what really hit home for me is when she was talking about it, she said, I just didn't know what to bring. Yeah. And it's like, I wouldn't know.
How do you pick what's most important?
Exactly. How do you choose?
And for people in the Palisades, they had no time.
Oh, I know. Y'all.
They had no time.
I'm sure everyone that is listening to this has seen the destruction and the devastation, but it looked and is post-apocalyptic. It's terrifying.
It is.
People had to leave their cars and walk on foot. It's just something out of a horror movie.
It really is. And so many of us, I think, are who have lived in LA, even if we don't live there now, who have family or friends, and for us, we don't have family really anymore. So it's those friendships
that are family,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
And so even if we don't talk to people, it's
people who have made an impact on our lives. We'll give away to donate to, a friend of mine that was from high school who, we don't talk all the time, but
he was such a wonderful person.
Oh my gosh.
Just a great spirit.
Sweetest person, bright as light, used to always make me laugh and smile even when I was down.
And so handsome.
Oh, yes. And, I was stunned to see that his family lost their homes, and the picture that he showed was just nothing. And I can't fathom.
I have former staff who've lost everything. I have board members who've lost everything. It's just, it's friends. And I keep learning more and more and more, and it's
absolutely heartbreaking.
And the immense losses for people, for their families, for the employees.
Yeah.
People don't think about the long-term impact this is going to have
on people who are gardeners, on people who take care of your house, on nannies, on,
people who work in the restaurants or the banks.
Absolutely.
We don't think about, especially for those people who are hourly people, what are they going to do?
And honestly, I am shocked by insurance companies right now. And I am, like you said, and an actor, I can't remember his name, but he spoke out about the fact that, and I'm talking about this because we're from New Orleans, but how it has such parallels to what happened after Katrina.
It does. And I have to say, this does bring up a lot of that for me.
Yeah.
Because I was in LA when Katrina happened.
But it's still very traumatic.
It's very traumatic. And you want to do something, but you don't know what to do because you don't know how you can help.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are feeling that way. And so, all we can do from a distance is give in some way, financially.
And I know that, and I will say, if you're listening to this and you're feeling your feelings, grief has many ways that it is expressed. So please, right now, just be loving, be kind, be understanding. People grieve through tears, through anger, through
disassociation,
humor sometimes. And
just know,
I don't recommend it, but
and just know that the people who've experienced this, even though they may be very stoic at the moment, they're in shock.
Oh, yeah.
They're in shock. And so while you may see these actors and, high-profile people in the media who are talking about, the Palisades is a community, Altadena is a community, we're going to rebuild, the reality of the losses hasn't really set in yet.
Right.
And the difficulty that exists for so many people and for so many people in the future. We're talking about insurance companies. One of my former staff owns a condo in West Hollywood, and he hasn't been able to get his homeowner's insurance renewed.
That is why.
And this is before these fires.
Yeah.
Because he lives in a high-risk zip code.
Right.
Or the premiums are just so exorbitant that he can't afford it, And so, we already know how difficult it is to live financially in Los Angeles, but to own a home is a rare occurrence.
Right.
One of my former staff, she and her husband were able to move into her childhood home, and it was destroyed.
Yeah. It's
it's like, how do you I have another former staff who I've stayed in touch with who it was her childhood home in the Palisades where her mother still lived. And fortunately, her mom's okay, but you've lost everything.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really sunk in.
And honestly,
it hasn't sunk in.
And to the people, too, who are saying, like, well, things can be replaced. Yes and no. Yes and no. These places are where people had roofs over their head. These were homes. Home is supposed to be a sanctuary. I've always thought of that as home is your sanctuary. Their sanctuary is gone.
I heard an interview today of someone who lost all of her, she worked remotely from her home and her ability to work is gone because everything was there.
Right.
And, it's like, how do you...
Well, and it's not just affecting people. It's affecting wild. I have seen videos. I've had friends message me saying there are deer in the middle of the road, like in the middle of highways. There are
their
cougars
animals are
just
displaced.
trying to, they're displaced.
All the wildlife is incredibly displaced because they lived up in the Will Rogers State Park. Mm-hmm. They lived in those mountains.
So if you are listening to this and you happen to see deer or cougars, trust me, they're just trying to find a safe place.
I saw a video today of a guy who was rescuing bunnies.
Oh, I saw a few videos of guys rescuing dogs. Someone rescued a dog that he found, and they did find the home, the owners. They were devastated because this dog had severe anxiety to loud sounds. They had him in the truck. He jumped out of the truck, but they couldn't go back, and they thought their dog was gone.
Well,
and amazingly, this man happened to find their dog, and he was okay. But it's like, I can't. I don't want to talk about it too much because I will break down. I can't.
Well, and people didn't have a lot of time if they were at work to get home. Mm-mm. So.
And it's crazy because even as we're talking about it, the fires are still burning.
Yes. And the containment is still questionable, and there's still so many...
And even if you're not affected directly by the fire,
if you're evacuated,
but that air quality is insane.
Yeah, both the Eden fire and the Palisades fire have very limited containment. Some of the other fires, the Kenneth fire, the Archer fire, the Lydia fire, they've been able to contain, but those two are just, they're still incredibly dangerous, and the air quality is horrible for everyone.
I will say the one thing that I've seen, and I had a friend of me and Adam's from a place we used to go to on our date nights all the time. He had to evacuate, and but he was able to come back, and he said, I have seen something I haven't seen in a long time, and that is people coming together and people doing everything they can to help out their neighbor, to help out a stranger, to just help out. And he was saying, I'm over here thinking like I don't have any hope for humanity because some of these fires were arson.
Well, one for sure
that they know of.
They don't know about the others.
But that's still,
and it wasn't either. They don't know what started the Eden or the Palisades fire. The other one that they know was arson. But was when they were able to extinguish fairly quickly.
But that's still like after there's already been fire. It's ridiculous, But he said. He has hope for humanity after witnessing the communities come together and just really trying to help out their neighbor.
Yeah, I do think there is, people think of LA and they don't think about community. And I think of LA in the context of how we came together as a community after 9/11, and there is community there. People do care about one another. It's an intense place, and that there's a lot of expectations. The other thing that I think about when we're talking, I'm sorry, I'm a little kind of all over the place. I'm a little tangential, but I was thinking about...
It's okay. This is our podcast.
we
can talk about what we want to talk about.
How many people who lived around us when we were in Santa Monica were in the industry, but they weren't celebrities. They were sound people. Yep. They were the the crews,
production, the people who were behind the scenes.
Yeah, they were the people who provided the food on sets,
right?
And those people are impacted as well. So, just try to offer some grace to California. I've seen some kind of negative comments on social media, and no one deserves this.
No, nobody deserves this.
I also want to say how grateful we are, and everyone needs to be cognizant of the risk.
Oh, God.
And the long-term impact of the devastation for the firefighters.
Oh.
I mean, they have seen just incredible devastation. And
I mean, they are putting themselves in...
working beyond regular hours and
putting
just
themselves
doing everything.
in true danger.
Yeah.
I mean, life-threatening danger. And they are doing everything they can. And I've learned that some of the firefighters are prisoners, and it's incredible that
we don't use that word.
Okay, well,
people who are
incarcerated. There we go. But it's incredible that they're still out there fighting, even though they are incarcerated. They're like, we're gonna do this, and people have come from all over, from Mexico, from New Mexico, to try to come from Canada to try to come and help. Yeah. Fight these fires.
The Quebec firefighters are heading over there now.
Yeah, just putting themselves in, it is beautiful to see people come together. And I want to make a statement that, having these people come from other places outside of the United States says a lot about our borders. Yeah. And so I just want to say thank you to those who are willing to cross borders to help a city that needs you.
Yeah. And I will also say that a lot of the people who will step in and help are probably not here illegally.
Yep.
So, and often they're the ones who will come in and be on the front lines.
Absolutely.
To help. I know one of our neighbors, one of our neighbors in LA, he was the first one to offer to help if it was fixing a cracked pane in the window or helping with the heating system or whatever it was. He was always there to help, and a good dad and a good husband. It's really it's kind of hard. It was hard for us to think about doing a podcast today, and yet we know we need to be consistent.
Yeah,
and we recorded the last podcast talking about New Orleans and its resilience.
Like I said, 2025.
It doesn't mean that New Orleans shouldn't grieve. It just means that beyond the grief, there's an awareness that they will learn and they will be better. I think what happened in LA speaks to the fact that all it takes is a nanosecond, in the blink of an eye, and anything can happen.
And I've seen so many posts. I saw one that I just actually reposted that said, "Heavy on the be safe and I love you," because it's so true. Mm-hmm. You don't know what's going to happen. And I know that this week I have felt both guilt and gratitude. Guilt because for so long, both, New Orleans and LA are my home. I want to be there. I want to help support. I want to give what I can. And I don't have that much to give, and I'm not there, and I feel guilty. And sometimes I even feel guilty for sobbing at times. But everyone has their own relationship with the city, with the people, and your feelings are valid. And I've also realized how grateful I am for just the little things: a roof over my head, a bed to sleep in, my dog is safe, my mom is here, I have, a boyfriend that loves me, would go above and beyond, I have food. And it's just...
Well, and yeah, but in a heartbeat,
it could
change.
Right. Yeah. And I cannot imagine. It's unfathomable.
Yeah. So please give your positive energy to anyone who's in that region and affected. Put out all the prayers.
Not even positive energy, but just understanding and love.
Well,
love.
If you'd let me finish, I would have gotten there.
Well, I'm an interrupting cow, so moo.
Yeah, give your positive energy to those who are hurting so much. Give them the grace that they need while they grieve. And yes, life trumps stuff, but many of us, our identities are tied to our past and the things that we've accumulated.
Heirlooms,
right. And
past,
when that's gone,
yeah,
it affects us. It really does. And send prayers that the winds die down, that there are cooler climate affecting the region, that they can contain these two fires that are just still very, very scary.
And there are always things that you can do. And I want to add on to that. I saw a post by Rachel Stavis, who's in LA. She was just in New Orleans. She just returned to LA, and she was like, it's hard. I was there during during the terrorist attack, and now I'm here during the fires. And she's saying the only way any of us can get through this is to love hard. Yeah. And just come from a place of love, come from a place of understanding. And it's not always easy, but I think that's the only way to make it through.
It's true. Love hard.
Love hard.
Love hard. Even when it's hard to love.
Yeah.
So if you do want to make a difference, there are a couple of places. I mean, there are so many places.
God, there's so many. I didn't even know where to begin with my donations.
But we know that the California Community Foundation is a place that is trustworthy. And they do have a wildfire recovery fund. It is through their website, which can be found through calfund.org.
Okay.
And then,
of course, the Pasadena Humane Society Wildfire Fund. I've donated to them as well. They are taking in every animal that gets brought to them. It is incredible to see the hard work that they are doing. And
even if they don't have room.
Even if they don't have room, they are taking in every animal. They are trying to find fosters for the animals that they had already. They are doing God's work. I mean, I can't imagine how hard they're working, and just to save, our furry loved ones. And I can vouch for them that they do incredible work, that they try so hard to get dogs in homes and pets in homes. So you can absolutely donate to them at www.give.pasadenahumane.org. And that's Pasadena, Pasadena, Humane, Humane. Just in case you can't spell. But they are incredible. And we do have a couple of people that we know that we hope you will.
Yeah, and there are so many. I reached out to other people to ask if they had GoFundMes, and they said, at this point, we're just too overwhelmed. Yeah. So other people will get sites, hopefully created for them. They, and the devastation's not over. So, if you do want to support individuals who were directly impacted by either of the fires, go to GoFundMe. And you can just scroll through, because I guarantee you those requests are at the top.
Absolutely.
But I do know of one person who's a former, she worked with me at Alzheimer's Los Angeles, and she's a therapist, and she and her husband have 2 young daughters, beautiful kids. And she was just a bright light when I was CEO of Alzheimer's LA. She just one of those people that brings goodness, you know? And they lost everything. And so if you go to GoFundMe and just put in help Allie's family, lost everything in California fires.
Can you spell Allie so they know how to spell it?
Sure. It's Alle.
Okay.
And her name is Allie Rames Weldy. And I know they would be very grateful. Our concern, again, is that the insurance companies, because most people don't think about walking around your house and taking photographs of everything, right?
And you don't have time.
Well,
so many people didn't have time.
Well, but most people, that's what I meant. Most people don't think about that something
or to
big
do
is
it,
going to
yeah,
happen.
Going to happen, exactly.
As a prevention kind of thing. They don't think about that.
Right.
But again, we don't, and they probably are underinsured in terms of the contents of their home.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Allie, if you want to contribute to that, I know Allie would be forever grateful. And then, as Larkin mentioned,
I have a friend, James Fowler, and he, again, another bright light, just as we spoke about him earlier, just beautiful soul, lights up the room. He's one of those people that like lights up the room when he walks in. Very talented, and I was just devastated that his family lost everything. And so he also, someone else created a GoFundMe for him. It's Help the Fowler Family Rebuild. Fowler is Fowler. If you look up James Fowler, you can find it in GoFundMe. He was in Altadena, I believe.
And Allie was in the Palisades.
Yeah. So every little bit helps. I know I wish I had more money because I would just be throwing it everywhere I could. But I know that every little bit helps. So even if it's just $5, $10, $25, $50, whatever you have, at this time will go a long way.
And if we find out about other links to other sites, we'll post it.
You can always find them on my @LarkandLuna Instagram. We will also post anything that we know of in our socials. If you follow us at all on our socials, just keep an eye out.
And if you want to keep up with what's going on, there's an app called Watch Duty that you can download. You don't have to put in your address, but it shows you where the fires are, where the burn sites have been, what some of the perimeters are. There are legends in place, and truthfully, this has been an incredibly helpful app for anyone who is in a fire zone, because it lets you know what's going on.
Right.
So it also lets you know how much containment there is.
Right.
And it is a nonprofit app.
So that's awesome.
It is not a for-profit. So it's free to download it, and we definitely encourage you, if you are in or near a potential fire zone, for you to
please download and keep up.
Yeah, download and keep up. Even if you're another part of the country.
Yeah, and you just want to check on your friends and family, always good to download and keep up.
Right, because it shows there are other fires in other parts of the country.
It's true. So we know this was long and not, very fun, but we thought it was important to talk about this because this is something that is very near and dear to our hearts, just like New Orleans is. So if, just as you go on through the next few days, through the week, through the month, please remember to come from a place of love when you are communicating, because you never know what could happen.
That's right.
So again, heavy to all of our listeners on the be safe, and I love you.
Yeah. And I love you, honey.
And I love you too.
All right.
Thank you all for listening, and
take care.
Our prayers are with everyone in LA. Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.